Welcome, everybody. We're going to just do another countdown. We have our guests here. Welcome, everybody. Oh my goodness, we have two special ladies in the building. I am so excited to be able to grace the platform with these two ladies, they are from two parts of my life, right? And just to know that I'm able to get on this platform to talk about mental health with these two wonderful ladies is just phenomenal. Fayon, this is her new name, y'all. So, is it Dark Ford? Drake Ford.
Drakeford.
Drake
Drakeford.
Ford. Yes,
Drakeford.
and I know her as Bobette, but I'm going to call her by her name. Fayon, Miss Fayon, and Trina. Trina, I know as Sharon. And these
Yes.
ladies have their own little names going on here. But
AKA.
that's right, AKA
AKA all day.
Right.
all day. We got to laugh it out, y'all. It's just a pleasure to be able to, in the month of mental health awareness, to have two special people on to discuss about mental health awareness, right? Um, these two ladies are in their fields. They are licensed therapists, and they're going to talk about their background. I'm going to have Fayon talk and Sharon, Trina to talk as well. I want them to introduce themselves, tell you a little bit about yourself. But today, on today's show, we're just talking about how is your mental health? Like that's a question that is not being asked too much. People don't ask the question. So, girl, how you doing? How's your health? How you feeling? Especially in these times, it's a question that needs to be asked. So before we even get into the conversation, I want you all to go ahead on your Facebook, share, like, and comment. We're gonna have some great conversations. So you can go right now and share to your page, Fayon, share to your page, Trina, so everybody can know that we are live and ready to go. Because we're gonna have this conversation because it's necessary. Mental health is necessary. We need each other to know, are we okay? And if you're not okay, let's talk about it. You know, because that's something, especially in the Black community, is not addressed, and not just only in our culture alone, but across the board. You find that it's not a great subject because somebody's going to tell you, girl, I ain't crazy, I'm good. No, it's not about being crazy. It's how is your mental state of mind in this moment.
Right.
So before we go in any further, I want to ask Fayon, please introduce yourself. Tell us who you are. Tell us how long you've been in this practice, in this field. You have your own practice as well. You both have your own practice. So I want you to tell us your name, where you're from, how long you've been practicing, and what is your specialty within your practice. Those are the questions. So take it away, Fayon.
Sure. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Melissa, for having me. And I think this is like one of the best months that we could use to have this conversation. So my name is Fayon Drakeford. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I'm in the state of New Jersey. I've been in this field for about 16 years. And believe it or not, this is a second career for me, as young as I may look. So I started out as an accountant, but I knew it wasn't kind of my calling and where I needed to be. And what I'm doing is what I feel like I was definitely put on this earth to do. And so I've been in the field about 16 years. In my specialty, I work with clients that suffer from trauma, anxiety, and depression are generally kind of the areas that are my niche, so to speak. I am the
Mhm.
owner and founder of Pathway Counseling, and we're located in Bloomfield, New Jersey. And yeah, that's kind of my story so far.
Pathway Counseling, located in East. We're in Jersey. Did I say East
Bloomfield,
Orange?
New Jersey. Mhm.
Bloomfield, New Jersey. Bloomfield, New Jersey. So thank you so much for sharing that. So Sharon, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? What's your practice and how long you've been practicing? And do you have a specialty within the practice?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. I am originally from Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland area, and now I am living in good old Texas, as I call it. I actually, I've been practicing. Let's see, I graduated. It's been about 3 years ago, and I am a licensed professional counselor associate. And pretty soon, very, very soon, I will be dropping that A to just a licensed professional counselor. I'm so excited. And
Hey.
so my private practice is called Purple Rain Counseling. And just as Fayon, I do specialize in women's women's issues, depression, anxiety. I love working with couples and, trauma, PTSD, things of that nature. Those are
Mm,
some of the main presenting issues,
mm.
especially anxiety here lately.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, when you even think about just your practices, dealing with women issues, you
Mhm.
know, we're women here, right? So let's talk
Yep.
because we wear so much hats, right? We are mothers, we are sisters,
Mhm.
we are daughters, we are aunties, we are friends, we are business partners, we are employees,
Yeah.
we are church leaders, we are just
Mhm.
so much in this one body, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
we also get neglected. So even though we serve so many people in our daily life, we personally are on empty. So let's talk about that. Even an entrepreneur, I'm going to talk about even just the entrepreneur, a single mom myself. I've experienced so much burnout
Mm.
and to talk about anxiety, you know, we hear the word anxiety, but I'm going to ask you ladies, I'm going to ask Trina first about this, right? When you think about mental health, how does it start? How can a person recognize that they're actually having some form of a meltdown, some form of a trigger to trauma that leads to where they are now not good for themselves or the people around them? How does it start, and how can someone be able to identify when they can say, I need help?
Yeah, great question. There's a book called The Body Keeps the Score, right?
Yeah.
If we really want to know what's going on, we need to really check into it with our bodies, be more aware, because certain situations we can be in, and then if you're being triggered, then your body will start feeling either constricted, or you'll start having sweats, or maybe your stomach is hurting, or if you feel like you're constantly having headaches, or you feel like you're on edge, then your body is saying, hey, listen, it's time for us to stop. We need to stop. We need to take a break. But what we do is keep pushing forward. We just keep, oh no, I can't. I have to I have to get this done. I have to get that done. Particularly with women. We are infamous about putting the mask on everybody else, and meanwhile we're gasping for air, right? So, but our bodies just say, hey, I need air, I need air, I need air. So
Mm,
if you're constantly taking care of everyone else and not paying attention to your body, trust and believe it will shut down on you. And you want to
mm,
be proactive rather than reactive. So I oftentimes will tell my clients, I've told other people, is that, we have this superwoman complex. And even Superman, and
Mhm.
Superman had kryptonite, you know. So we have to take those capes, I oftentimes will say, instead of
mm,
saving everyone else, we need to take those capes and wrap them around ourselves and save ourselves so that we can
mm.
live to save somebody else another day.
Come on. I mean, when you say save yourself, I think about the actual plane. When you get on the plane, they talk
Mhm.
to you about that. They
Yeah.
said if there's emergency and this
Hmm.
plane has
Mhm.
to land, Please do not save your sister, your brother, your children, or anyone that's next to you. Put the mask on you first.
Absolutely.
And I like the way you say, put that cape on, right? And that's what we have to do to be able to know that we are not just going out there on an empty cup. I was telling my last client earlier, I said, listen, you have to fill you up.
Yeah.
You can't keep on giving on an empty cup. You can't keep on pouring out on an empty cup. Who is filling you? Who is putting back in you? Just like running a car. You can't run a car on a with no gas. Why do we do the same thing for our body? And I love what you said. Checking with your body. What is your body saying? So
Yeah.
when you hear that, Fayon, how can you relate to that conversation in itself when it comes to us really trying to figure out how did I get here when it comes to mental health? Like,
So
how do I see
I'm
trauma?
glad you brought that up. So, Melissa, definitely one of the things I often say to women and caretakers, right? Not just women, but caretakers, is that consider yourself as the foundation of a house, right? Because we're always caring and we're doing for others. If the foundation of the house isn't firm and level, then the house gets crooked, right? And so, because you're someone that's supporting so many others, right? And you're wearing so many hats, then you need to be firm. You need to be whole. You need to be together so that you're able to carry out your task. And so I'll say to someone like, if you're not feeling yourself, right? If you find out that either you're getting tired a lot, you're sleeping more than you normally would sleep. Sometimes mental health shows up the opposite. You're sleeping all the time. You don't want to get up. You don't want to go to work. You might find yourself not eating. There's a loss of appetite, or you're overeating, right? Just to
Mhm.
compensate and deal with all that's going on with your life. So whenever your normal way of functioning is interrupted, there's something that's off. You know something's off. You're fatigued, you're tired, you can't focus, you can't concentrate. Things that you'd normally have the energy and ability to do, you just can't anymore. The kids come
Mhm.
from school, you're home from work, you don't have the strength to play with them, to spend time. You get frustrated easily, you yell at everybody, you're irritable, and those are some signs that something's going on, because this is not how you normally would be, right? And so that's a clue to you that I need to check in to see what's going on with me. Does that make sense?
It
Absolutely.
does, absolutely. And I loved how you mentioned check-in, that accountability. You know, it's needed. We need to have somebody to be able to account to how we're feeling. Like, so when a person, I'm gonna ask this question to you, Fayon. When you find like a client that is literally coming to you, right, to get this service that's needed, how do you now help them to find that count, to help them to gauge themselves to when they need to reach out? Because the problem is, we can come to you, right? But when we leave
Mhm.
you, you're not there in my room when I need to reach out. You're not there when I'm having a meltdown. You're not there to help me to figure out methods or stuff to do to help me to get my mind under control. What will be some techniques you can kind of share when it comes to that person regulating themselves and to be able to reach out when necessary?
Okay. So the first thing is, I always ask clients this on the first day, and it sounds so weird, but I really do. I ask them, what do you want to look like on the last day we have therapy? Pretend that today's the last day and I'm saying my goodbyes to you. What do you want to look like? Not physically, but what do you want to appear like? And then they'll tell me, like, I want to have confidence. I want to be able to make decisions. So that kind of tells me these are the areas they need to work on. And then a part of therapy
Mm.
is teaching and learning the coping skills, right? The therapist will teach you different skills that you can use when you're on your own, right? Having a self-care plan is so important. It's something I do with everyone, regardless of what kind of brings them through the door. Because I found that as individuals, we often don't think about how do I take care of me, right? But identifying those things that feel good. For some, I had a mother once tell me, like, having a cup of tea on the couch by herself feels like self-care for her. A minute where her husband, her son just leaves her alone. She just has a minute to sip a cup of tea. And so I normally have them
Mm,
identify what kind of things do you do that feel good for you, right? And begin to put those things into practice throughout the week. For some
mm,
people, it's going to the gym, right? Going to the gym really feels good, and we know that exercise releases dopamine, it releases oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, and these are called happy chemicals, right? They help to improve our
mm,
mood. And exercise is the
mm,
one thing that releases all four. There are different things, activities that we can do, but exercise releases all four, right? And it helps to regulate our mood. So I'll say to clients, implement some type of movement in your routine, right? Whatever it is. If you're a mom, maybe have a dance party with your kids, right? And that's a way that you're getting to move around. But generally, just talking to them and working with them on what are things that they do that they like. I've had people say, I used to draw, but I don't draw anymore, right? But that's something that makes them feel good. Some people say, I used to play an instrument, or I used to like to go running or hiking, or but identifying and finding the things that you used to do or that you're open to trying that improve your mood, that make you feel good about you. And then coming up with different coping skills that you can use at different points when you do feel like you are triggered.
mm.
Just so
Whew. I mean, you dig in on something that Sharon is known for right now, which is her self-care plan. And I love that that's something that you have put in place. And I love, what do you want to look like at the end? You're actually having them start this process from the thinking from the end in the beginning,
mhm.
because that's a
Yep.
great technique as a therapist. Why? Because now you can see what is their weakness, what are their
Mhm.
challenges, what
Mhm.
can we work on, what can we now pull out and make a plan to say, okay, so self-esteem, so this trauma from their childhood, or so, I want to look better, so that means, so we're now hearing their voice and
Mhm.
hearing what they want to look like, can start the plan of treatment for their
Right.
entire sessions. I
Mhm.
love that. And so I'm going to go back into to Sharon. Sharon, you wrote a book on self-care,
Mm-hmm.
and Freyon just tapped into something that she does with her clients. So tell me more about, what does that look like for your clients when you're thinking about people? That's not just your client alone. How do people now create that regimen where it's outside of the your office, it's outside of your practice. They're no longer inside your practice to only hear it. How can I now take what you have given me and use that as a self-care regimen on a weekly, daily, monthly basis? What can someone do to
Mm-hmm.
start the journey of self-care so they can have a better mental clarity, or clear, or not clarity, but mental awareness of their actual health in itself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love when Fayon said, one of her clients said, just a cup of tea is important to her. So identifying what is important to her. But one of the things that I have found, which is one of the reasons why I actually created the journal, is because I found that women have a hard time allowing themselves to even think that far ahead. So when
Mm.
they say, I don't know what it is that I like to do, or I don't know what I want, the first step for me and my clients is, okay, think about what would your life be like? What would your ideal life be like if you didn't have any barriers? What would you want for yourself? What would you want for your family? And then they'll tell me about, well, I would have this, we would have a loving household, I would be rested, right? So how can we manifest what you've just said to me? How can we make this come true for you? How important is it for you? And one of the biggest barriers is that they don't feel that they deserve it. They
Mm,
don't feel like there's no love for themselves.
mm,
So, one of the practices that I begin with is first starting with, how can I learn to love myself again?
Mm,
So
powerful.
I work on changing the tape that they replay in their minds over and over and over again. And for some, that means they have to start saying positive affirmations again. Sometimes it's simple as, I'm worthy of having this cup of tea. Or I have one client, she's married, they actually came as a couple, but her morning prayer time is non-negotiable.
Mm,
So her family knows now, during this time, do not bother me, right?
mm,
So getting them to a place, us to a place where we understand I am worthy and deserving of the same
yes,
love that I give to everyone else.
yes, yes.
So, in the Bible it says that charity starts at home. This is home.
Hmm. Hmm.
I
Absolutely.
am home. And then
Mm.
I can disperse it to other people.
Wow, wow, wow. I love that. I love that. I am home. This temple is my home. And one of the things that we don't do is take good care of it. But we wonder, but I was telling somebody that's close to me, I said, you use this temple to make money. Why are you not taking care of it?
Mm,
Because the person work and work and work and get maybe 3 hours of sleep. I said, this is the temple that you use to make money. Why aren't you taking care of it?
Mhm.
So I'm going to ask you ladies, any one of you ladies can answer this question because many people are watching, right? And they may watch the live or the replay. And now they may be asking, how can I support a friend or a family member who is dealing with mental issues or have some mental problems? Because we want to be our sisters and our brothers keepers, right? We want to
Mhm.
be able to be there for our family members, but how can we be there for them if we don't know how it's done? So I'm going to ask you both ladies to share your experience and share some thoughts on that, because we need to recognize when people need help, but we also need to know how to help them. So Fayon, if you can take the first part of this, and then Sharon, you can kind of finish it up.
Okay.
sure. I would say listen, right? Listening is so important and so powerful. Just to listen, and even if you say you're the one that approached them, you can start by saying, you know what? I noticed, like Melissa, I noticed you haven't been yourself lately. Melissa, I noticed, you used to be someone that smiled all the time, and now when I see you just look so sad. You used to like get your hair done, do this kind of stuff. But I noticed, you're not like looking like yourself. What's going on? Start by just building a conversation, listening to what they have to say. Be non-judgmental, like regardless of whatever your thoughts are. Like the worst thing you could do is tell somebody, "Oh, girl, that ain't nothing. Oh, you just need to get over it." No, oh my gosh, I literally hate that term. It is definitely a pet peeve of mine because people don't get over things, they work through things, right? They
Come
don't
on.
get over things, they work through things. Every experience that we had impacts us at some point, and we don't forget it. We don't get over it, but we can work through it, right? So definitely be a listening ear, being non-judgmental, right? And if you've had an experience, you can say, hey, I've had an experience, or maybe you need professional help. Making a referral to someone, that is a professional, and even offering to maybe find resources for them, right? As a way for them to not feel by themselves or feel alone. You know, that's
Mhm.
what
Love
I
it.
would suggest.
I
Mhm.
love it. I love the fact that you started with listening. Um, Many of us will talk more than listen. And sometimes when you think about people that are going through mental issues, mental illness or mental problems, however you want to phrase it, sometimes they just want to talk. They just want to let it out. And we have to be able to be that listening ear. We just sit and listen, and then not just listen, tune in. Because sometimes people be listening, but they ain't listening. you know, they
Mm,
just
I know what you
they
mean.
they listening, but they really ain't listening to the conversation. So when I
Mm,
say to you, listen, vomit back up and say, I heard, I saw this is what you're saying. Okay. Don't comment on it, but let them hear that you listen to what they said. And I like the second thing, no judgment. If you're being a good listener, you're not going to also judge. God is that person judge, not you. You're not there to judge. You're just there to do what? Listen. And I love how you mentioned share your experience and make a referral to a professional. You're not a professional. You're not the expert. You're just a listening ear. So know your role, know your position, play the right position, but play the position where you lead them to somebody that professional, like a Sharon, like a Fayon. They went to school for something, y'all, and it's to be licensed. And they took a test to show that they're licensed to take care of the matter called mental health. So we
Mhm.
want to show up for people in
Yeah.
a way where we're listening, we're not judging, but we also lead them to a professional that can take up the mantle and or take up the next stage of it and help them. So Sharon, you're so give us some more on the same conversation that we're talking about.
Yeah, Fayon hit right on the head. What I would add to that is that when we see someone that we love and you're noticing these differences, you mentioned listening. Active listening is listening for an understanding, not for a response, right? Pay attention to what they're actually saying and try to put yourself in their shoes. Try to see it from their perspective and not project onto the other person what you would do or how you would feel. Or because it, even though both of you may have gone through a same messy divorce, but this person is operating from a different perspective, right? From a different point of reference. So we may want to share our stories, but we don't want to make it about us, right? When you're trying to be there for them, stay focused. That's what I say, make sure that you're staying focused on this person, but also just asking a person, how can I support you?
Mm.
What can I do for you? I noticed that these things are that you've changed in this area, right? I noticed that. How can I help you? And when Fayon suggested that we don't judge, a lot of times people don't share because they fear being judged.
Yeah.
They fear that they're not enough. So we have to validate whatever it is that they're going through, right? And just letting them know that even if they're not ready to talk to you about whatever it is, if a person's saying, I don't want to talk about it right now, let them know that I will be here for you whenever you're ready, right? So you're creating this atmosphere where you become someone safe.
Yes.
Whenever you need me, I'll be here for you to support you how you need me to support you. If you're offering to take some, or referring someone, would you like me to go with you? Right? It allows them to feel supported, to feel loved, to have that understanding that I'm not in this by myself. I do have people. And that's what we want to do. We want to be safe. We want to be safe people.
I love the word
Can I just say
safe.
something, Melissa?
Please go ahead.
I was
Yes.
just going to say, Melissa, like I love that she said safe because I think that's the point of therapy. It is a safe space, a safe
Mhm.
place. And
Mhm.
a lot of people don't have that, especially in their
Right.
relationships. Because, in our community, one of the stigma is that people often say, oh, girl, you keep your business to yourself. What happens here stays here. Families, we don't talk about our business out in the street. And so a lot of times people
Absolutely.
don't recognize that there is a safe space that's non-judgmental that they
Mhm.
can go to and really handle the things that are causing them issues.
Wow. I'm so happy that you both are on the same page with that because that's the problem. People have this notion that if I go out in the street, I'm laying out my dirty laundry, or I'm sharing my business and not
Mhm.
understanding, yes, the same business that you don't want to share, it's harming you. It's hurting you. It's internalizing into some type of dis-ease. This ease come from trauma, come from unresolved issues, and because we were taught, don't be taking out your business in the street. Nobody needs to
Mm.
know what's going on in this house. That's what's the problem is. And I see that Monica Williams shared, people outside have the best advice for the inside folks. So they think you'll never really know what you will do until you have to do it.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
true. And I think Trina
Absolutely.
even alluded to it. And the truth is that two people can be in the same car accident. One
Mhm,
person
Mhm.
leave, they're traumatized, and another person leaves
mhm.
and is able to get back into a car and drive.
Absolutely.
Right.
Exactly.
So even though two people can have a similar experience, the response is not guaranteed to be the same because we all process things based on our upbringing, our experiences, our culture, our life, all the things we've been through. And so,
Absolutely.
no two people, and I know sometimes, especially when it comes to loss, people be like, if someone lost a mom, they be like, oh, I know what you're going through because I lost my mom. No, you don't.
Mhm,
You have
mhm,
your experience and your relationship, and this person has their own, and it's not the same, you know?
mm.
Exactly.
And I like that you said that. I remember when you said that, it brought back a memory for me. I remember when I lost my late son Caleb, and in our culture, Fayon, they will say the statement, "Stop crying over spilled milk."
Mhm.
And all remembered that state when I heard that statement, I thought about it. I said, "Shoot, my son is spilled milk. Like, why would my son be spilled milk?" But that's not what I meant, Melissa. But just stop crying. What are you crying for? And not understanding that statement alone silenced my voice, silenced my
Mm.
pain, silenced me from feeling the pain. So you're right. Sometimes, even in situation though, and I want you guys to address this because I think people don't know what to say, especially when it comes to mental health. You see a person that is just going through life, or somebody just lost a family, lost somebody. This what do I say? You see a person that is depressed. What do I say? And we set the stage a few seconds ago, talking about listening, no judgment, be able to validate what they're thinking and saying. But in the midst of all that, like, we have to find can we find a comfort, like a space where we can say this is what it should look like. I know it's I don't think it is possible to say this is what it's supposed to look like, or this is what it's supposed to sound like, correct? So how do we kind of make sense to that? Because Freyon, Sharon, people don't know what to say when they find that people are going through issues.
What I will say, Melissa, back to my statement, please don't tell anybody watching live or the replay, do not tell anyone to get over it. Okay. So, as I said, that's my pet peeve. But what I will say is that sometimes people just want to know that you care. Right. And I think
Mhm,
Trina hit on it when she said, ask them, how can I support you? Because really,
mhm,
support could look different for different people. Someone might be ready to talk to a therapist, someone might not. Someone might just
Mhm.
want someone that's going to maybe, I don't know, do an errand for them, right? There are different things that people
Mhm.
need, but being present is
Mhm.
definitely something anyone would feel support from. And being present doesn't mean you have to speak, right? But just being there for the
mhm,
person and saying, listen, I'm here for you. Like, that sounds pretty
Mhm.
neutral, right? And someone can take from that
Mhm.
whatever that is that they need.
mhm,
Saying I'm here for you, asking how can I
Mhm.
support you, how can I help
Mhm.
you, right?
mhm,
Do
Mhm.
you need anything? Those are all
Mhm.
statements that are large enough, right, that that
Mhm.
person can interpret and take from it whatever it is that they need from you, right? And they might say, you know
Mhm.
what, I need space, I just need to be left alone. But then
mhm,
again, if
mhm,
that's what they need, then that's what they need, right? Because there's a time and space where
mhm,
People might want to talk, and sometimes they don't want to. And sometimes just sitting next to someone is all that they need,
Oh,
Mhm.
right? Is your presence, you're there and you're supporting. When you don't know what to say, just be present. You don't have to
yeah.
say something. You don't always have the right words. And sometimes in certain situations, there are no right words,
No,
right?
it's not. No.
Some situations are really hard, right? Like the loss of a child, there's nothing you can say that will make the person feel better, right?
Mm-mm.
But you can be present and they know
Mm,
that you're there and they know that you can support. So just
mm.
be present is what I would
Wow,
say. And if you don't know what to
I love
say,
it.
don't say nothing.
Don't say
Just
nothing
be
at
present.
all.
Please don't. Please don't.
You
Because you
know,
might mess up and say the wrong thing.
say the wrong thing. Again, you guys are we're live and we are talking about mental health. We have two special guests here, Fayon, and we have Trina, known as Sharon as well. And these are licensed therapists, and we are in the month of mental health, mental awareness month. And mental health is something that's a lifetime. This is something that not just only in the month of May, it's all day, every day, weekly, monthly for somebody, right? And Monica mentioned this statement. I want to bring this up for us to actually talk about. Monica Williams stated, I believe we all have a touch of mental health. Even that part right there, when I saw that, I was like, that is so true. Most won't believe it because there is no diagnosis or medication attached to what they are feeling. How do you now, when you hear something like that, Sharon, do you feel that many of us have a touch of mental health issues in some way or form?
Hmm. Yeah, I think that we all, at some point in time in our lives, may go through mental health issues, right? Whether it be anxiety for a period of time. We don't necessarily need a diagnosis of chronic or clinical depression, but we may have depressive episodes, right? We have grief, so a lot of times
Yes.
grieving will mimic a lot of the other issues like depression, like anxiety, like so many things that could go wrong. And one of the things that I found is that one of my specialties is grief. But a lot of times when people are feeling irritable and anxious and very sad, and it's because they're grieving something,
Hmm. Hmm.
the loss of something. And
Mm,
it does not necessarily mean the physical death. It
mm,
could be the death of an idea of what a marriage was going to be. It
mm,
could be the death of an idea of what their child was supposed to be. Or maybe they're mourning the loss of a relationship of someone who was very close to them. It may have been a marriage, it may be a relationship with a parent or a sibling, or all of
mhm,
the above. Or maybe
mhm,
someone is sick and they are grieving the loss of who they once were,
mm, mm,
right? I used to be vibrant. I used to be able to do this, especially people who are going through the midlife phase.
mhm,
I used to
mhm.
be able to go into a room, pick up everything, and know what I was talking about, or I could finish a sentence without having to search for my words, right? People are grieving or mourning something,
So true. So true.
and it could be the loss of their joy, the
Mm,
loss of their peace.
mm. Come on.
So, yes, I believe that we all go through some type of mental health crisis,
Mhm.
but it becomes chronic when we don't address it.
Mm. That part.
Yeah.
That part. And
When we don't
mhm,
address the grief, then it
mhm,
becomes a part of the DSM-5, which is the list of all the mental health issues. It becomes prolonged. So
mm.
whatever you
Mhm.
resist is going to persist,
That part.
right? You may try to
Uh-oh.
ignore it, but it's going to show up.
Yes.
And I call it bleeding. You start bleeding
Yes.
on people.
Wow.
Mhm.
It starts oozing out of your soul, out of your skin, and that's when we start seeing the symptoms
Mhm.
of, the irritability, the tearfulness, or the heaviness where I can't get up out of bed, or I can't function like I used to. So yeah,
Mm.
we all go through some things. We
Mm.
don't
Trina,
necessarily have to be diagnosed. But go ahead, Fayon.
Mm.
no, I was gonna say I love that you said that because I've said that to people that that we can grieve the loss of something. It doesn't have to be a
Mhm.
person, but as you said,
Right.
it's a loss of who we used to be. It's the loss of moving from one city to the next and the way of life that you had. It's the loss of a dream. You saw yourself as this vibrant person, and maybe something happened, illness, and now you're no longer that person. And when you say that, people are like, "Wait, so that's a
Mm.
loss? That's what I'm experiencing." Because
Mhm.
people don't understand, like, yeah, that is a loss, right?
Mm-hmm.
Loss of hopes
Mhm.
and dreams, and that
Mhm.
we grieve those things and they come out through our bodies just like it's the loss of a person, right? And
Yeah.
grieving
Mm.
those same symptoms, right? That
Mhm.
sadness and all those other things that we experience. So yeah, I love the
Absolutely.
fact that you brought that up because a lot of people don't recognize that there is grieving. And the other thing
Mhm.
too, Melissa, regarding the statement, your mental health is it's the way that you manage and process and your emotions, and even you have test anxiety, right? Test anxiety is
Mhm.
something a lot of people have. It doesn't necessarily
Yep.
mean you have to go to therapy for it, right? So we do
Right.
experience anxiety. The loss of a loved one does bring some sadness and grief, right? But
Hmm.
that doesn't necessarily mean, as Trina said, it's how long it persists, how we handle it, what we do with it, right? So certain things, and not all anxiety is bad anxiety, right?
Right.
So just kind of keep that in mind that yeah, we all do experience some type of mental health challenge at some point, but it's what we do, how we manage it, and what we do with it that kind of
Oh,
will determine what we do next steps afterwards and how it shows up.
wow. I love
Yes.
it. So we do have a question here from Sean. He mentioned, "Hi, ladies. I have autism and was wondering if autism is part of mental health." Any one of you ladies can take the question.
Well, I think that with how we manage autism has a lot to do with our mental health, right? If there's a denial, if there's not an acceptance of it, then it can cause some mental health issues, such as the depression of it, or low self esteem. Um, but autism is neurodiversity, right? The brain processes differently. So that's a different type of spectrum. And people with that who are trying to manage autism, I feel like, or have I found that people who are in families who are accepting, who are supportive, who when they're in environments, there's not an issue of mental health issues. What have you found, Fayon?
Yeah, so I agree with you, right? So autism is a developmental disorder. So it's not necessarily a mental health disorder itself. But as
Right.
Trina was pointing out, it depends on how you're managing and dealing with it that could lead to, different mental health challenges. But autism in and of itself is just a developmental disorder.
Hmm.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one of the things I love about just even just people that has I look at the autistic world as they're in a beautiful world that sometimes we got to enter in. I
Mm,
worked with autistic children for 17 years, and I always felt like they allowed me to enter their world. Some of them were verbal, some of them were nonverbal. But one of the things that I realized was the family. How you ladies mentioned it. How accepted are they? Do they understand the spectrum? Do they understand that this is not something that they're going to grow out of? This is something that we have to embrace and love them for where they are and help them, give them the resources, ABA therapy, the speech therapy, give them the technology, whatever that's needed to help them along their way. So I love how you ladies really addressed that. And I hope that was very helpful for you, Sean. And thank you so much for sharing that, Sean. And we believe that, get as much help as you can in the mental health space. Get as much help as in the therapy space when it comes to speech therapy and different things that's needed to help you along the way. And as many as possible, socialize, get into that community, find like-minded individuals as well that you can relate to within the community, the autism community. So thank you for sharing, ladies. I mean, this is really good. I want to kind of get into another question because many people may want to maybe wondering, how does mental health therapy works? Because we talked about earlier steps that you ladies may take in the beginning of sessions. Fayon mentioned how she starts from the end to in the beginning, right? Sharon shares how in her practice she really dive deeper into self care, right? So when you think about mental health, how does mental health therapy work, and what should I expect? What should someone expect during the typical session that they're having? Again, every therapist is different. We got two separate therapists on the line, two different, they have two different practice. They may specialize in something different, right? When I had the loss of my son Caleb, I went to a grief therapist, and her focus was grief. And she focused more on child grief, right? So her specialty was in that. But guess what? Through her therapy session, I was able to create a plan of action to get out of my marriage. At the time, it was a toxic relationship, and I didn't recognize it until I was actually in therapy, thinking that I'm going for the loss of my son, but I didn't know I was also grieving my marriage. That part. So I want you ladies to address, because many people may not know what to expect if they have, some of them may have not gone to a therapist yet. Some of them may want to go to a therapist but don't know how it's going to happen, how it's going to work out. So what does that process look like, if any one of you ladies can take that question?
Yeah, I just did YouTube on this earlier today, about how to find a therapist. First of all, remember that finding a therapist can sometimes be like trying on a different pair of shoes. You may have to try on a few pair before someone fits. And the same for a therapist. A therapist can say, "Oh, I don't know if I'm the right person for you," right? Look out, or even if you are currently in therapy, does your therapist listen to you,
Mm,
right? Are they putting what your goals are as a priority, not kind
mm,
of pushing forward their own agenda, but do you are you vibing, right? Do
mm,
you is it easy, right?
mm,
We know that sometimes the clients come in and maybe the first couple of sessions they're, we're just feeling each other out. But at the same time, even in feeling each other out, most of the time during the first session, I can tell if it's going to, even during the consultation, I can tell if it's going to be a good or a bad fit.
mm,
And because it's all about how we're vibing, how
mhm.
can are you comfortable telling me things? A lot of times they'll tell me a lot of stuff in 20 minutes. So if you're telling me a lot of things in 20 minutes, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to get a lot out of you, right?
Mhm, mhm,
During the overall process.
mm,
And um, I tell clients, it'll work if you work it. Just
mhm,
like they say in AA, you see me 1 hour a week, maybe 2 times a week, if that, right?
mm,
So we give you the tools and then you got to go out and practice them, right? When you're in therapy, keep in mind that the therapist is there to assist you and to provide you with the tools that you need, different techniques. It's not one size fits all, it's customized, right, to whomever
mhm,
is sitting in front of us, right? So we have a lot of things in our toolkit that we can pull out, and
mhm,
whatever works, you
mhm,
know be open to telling your therapist, or when you're looking for someone, that let them know if you don't like something. Oftentimes I'll tell my clients, hey, in the beginning, look, I'm I'm not going to always say things that you may understand at first, but ask me, because there's a method behind the madness. I'm asking you certain questions to cause you to go deeper, to cause you to be more reflective. So if you don't understand something, if you don't like the way something is going, please let us know, because we can always pivot and do something
Mm,
different, because it's about you, not about
mm,
us,
mm. I
right?
love that. I love that statement. It's about you, not about us. And that's a part of therapy that we have to
Yep.
recognize. It's never about the therapist. You are the client who is coming for a service that needs to be rendered.
Hmm.
And as the rendering of the service starts with listening, the rendering of the service starts with a plan. The render of the service is giving you the homework that you have to go and do. That's the part.
You listen, don't take my word. I was just about to say, Trina, I give homework.
I
I-
do too.
I've had clients say to me, they love it. I have clients refer other people, and they're like, this one lady, she said, I saw her doing homework, and she said her therapist gave her homework. And I said, I need to see your therapist.
Yeah,
But
my
I give homework. I give people things to do between sessions. And as Trina said, like, you've got to put the work in, right? You've got to put the work in. It can't be that 1 hour that you're in session, but trust and believe, right? We're working so that you can be the best you that you can be, right? And the you that you want out of it. And to add to that, therapy is a place where we're going to challenge you, right? We're going to challenge you. And some things might be outside your comfort zone. But what I do say, just like Trina in the beginning, I tell people, listen, if I ask you to do something and it's not comfortable, please feel free to let me know that this doesn't work for me, because I want you to know this is going to be a different type of relationship, one in which your boundaries are respected. And I tell my clients that because I
Mhm.
recognize that sometimes in the rest of their lives, they don't have the voice, or they feel like others don't respect their boundaries, but I want them to have a different relationship. That it's a safe space, it's a non judgmental space, but it's also a place where they can set the pace. It's a place where they can set the pace, right?
Mm,
Mhm.
And I tell them sometimes I might press the gas a little, other times I might back up, right? But it's all kind of for your good. And
Mhm.
so a part of it is also working through some traumatic experiences. And
Mhm.
that can be tough. That can be hard. It is gauging where the client is. It is talking, right? Sometimes it is listening.
Mhm.
Sometimes it is, they might shed a tear. And I've
Mhm.
said to people, listen, I'm comfortable with tears and I'm okay with that, right?
Mhm.
Because oftentimes people haven't been in a relationship where they can be that vulnerable. And you can tell when someone feels extremely vulnerable, right? It's almost like, oh my God, I think I said too much. I've had people say that. I said too much,
Yeah.
right? And that's because they feel like, oh my God, I've opened up myself. But that's the uniqueness about therapy. It is that
yes,
safe place, that safe space that you can be vulnerable, right? And you won't be hurt.
absolutely.
But I do. I
Mm,
tell people when they're looking for therapy, I said, listen, interview your therapist. And I tell them, I said,
Mhm.
just like a relationship, not
mhm,
everybody meshes, right?
mhm.
And ask them questions. You know what you're looking for or what you want, and ask them questions.
Mhm.
I love
But
that.
yeah,
And I
you know,
just want to add too, for those who may have not been in therapy before, or you're in therapy, but you're kind of slow walking it, you're not sure if you can really open up and tell this person, your deepest, darkest secrets. Some of my clients, what they have found, especially when they're working through trauma, right? Especially childhood traumas. And after they're done, they're like, I don't know what happened after the last therapy session. I was, just so tearful. And I was just so, they just felt a certain way, right?
Mhm,
There's a wide range of different things, or some of them feel like they just wanted to get up under a blanket and just kind of repair, or cocoon for a minute. And Brene Brown calls it like the emotional hangover. So I
mm,
try to, just kind of warn them and give them tools that after they have been, like she said, opened up, right? You've
mhm,
been opened up now. We've done surgery. So now we got to do some things to help you, heal even
Mhm.
from trying to heal.
Mhm. Mhm.
Even try, there's a healing to the healing, right? When
Mhm.
you go in
Mhm.
for surgery, you're in the process of getting better, but they got to open you up. And sometimes it can get a little messy in there.
Mhm.
But we walk you through it and we don't leave you just wide open, right?
Yeah.
There's some things that we do to kind of help you work through that, but also not leaving you too open
Mhm.
with this, because
Mhm.
it's a very, when you're working through these things, you become very vulnerable,
Mm.
and you're very open to
Mhm.
things, so you have to cover yourself and be self-aware that, okay, I know that I've just worked through some trauma, I know that some things are coming up for me. I may even be a little bit more sensitive or emotional about some things, and that's to be expected when you're working through things that you've kept to yourself for years. And now
Mhm.
finally,
Mhm.
you're opening up to that. I had one client who had been had just started talking about things who um since she was 8, that happened to her when she was 8, and she's like 60 now. And in the
Wow.
session, it became so overwhelming. So to help her, it's like, okay, let's breathe, get up and walk around,
Mhm.
move, shake your body, to let, so
Mhm.
that those emotions and all of this energy that's coming up doesn't become locked in. So we got to get rid
Mm.
of the energy, because that's what
Mm.
anxiety, depression is energy that's trapped in our bodies.
Mm. Wow. 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 Again, you are listening to these two amazing therapists. I am your host, Melissa Lambert. We're live here and we're just having a great conversation. Why this month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And we want you to be aware every single day. Be aware of what's going on in your with your body. Take a test on, not a test, but like examine how you're feeling each and every
Mhm,
day when you wake up. How do you feel? How does my mindset go? How's my mind? How's my body regulating itself? Certain things you got to literally self talk yourself through on a daily basis. Check in with yourself, know where you
mhm,
are,
mhm,
and know where you're going. And if there is a point in your life where you feel like you cannot do this, seek help. We talked about the shoe may not fit at all. Again, therapy is just like interview, like a job interview. You got to go on more and more and more until you get the right fit. You may have to try on different shoes to see if it fit and look good. Same thing with therapy. You have to find the right fit for you, and they got to see if you are the right fit as well. There's two questions that is asked here, and I want to address. First, Monica Williams made a statement, and I want to say thank you for your service, Monica, as a hospice social worker. That right there alone is
Mhm.
a lot. So thank you for your service, for being in a industry that families need you at
Mhm.
their families last their exit. This is an exit space, right? They need you, and you're there. So thank you. And you state here, I am an hospice social worker, and I always say to my families, how can I serve you?
Nice.
How does your end of journey look for you? How does it look for you? And I like that. I love that you're asking them the question because it's their end, not yours. And sometimes we have to go to that route where we're asking, we're probing, giving them the questions for them to now release. So sometimes you have to awaken that. They may not have it in them to say, I want to talk about it, but it's how you probe them, how you ask the question that can bring and pull them so they can start being open to speak. Another question as asked, look yourself. Yeah, Sean said, look yourself in the eye and empower yourself. Love it, Sean.
Yeah.
Love it, love it, love it. You must do that. We are our best judge. We judge ourselves before anybody else judges, okay? But you also have to be your best self and you got to show up for you.
mhm.
So yeah, we got to look in the mirror and say, girl, you look good, honey.
Melissa,
Baby.
I often tell people you have to be your biggest cheerleader. And I
Absolutely.
think for a lot of us, we were not taught that. We were taught that it's prideful to kind of, compliment yourself. But what we're learning is some of that stuff that, the generation before us and generation before them, they didn't know any better, right? You have to be your own biggest cheerleader because we know that normally you're your own biggest critic, right? I often tell people, listen, if I were to ask you what went wrong, you could tell me everything. So sometimes for clients that struggle with depression, I'll start off the session with like, what things went well this week? To force them to even
Mm,
begin to identify or look for things that went well. And they're able to identify it.
mm,
So sometimes we're so
Mm,
used to looking to the negative, but if we take a
mm,
minute to look back and identify the positive, it will make a difference and be our own biggest cheerleader. Cheer you
mm.
on.
Mm,
mhm,
I love that. And I mean, I was in my course. I was teaching my focus class, and one of the things in my focus book, we talk about in the morning is list 5 things you're grateful for. We forget what we're grateful for, and I said to her, and I was sharing what I was grateful for, and I said, "Do you understand that some people don't have water to run?" I said, I'm grateful that I was able to wake up and I had running water that has I can turn it to hot or cold or lukewarm. Something that people take for granted. Water. I was able to turn my light on and my switch came on. I'm grateful for that. So we not only just have to look at ourselves and be our cheerleader, but be grateful for the little or the much that you have, right? So I'm going to ask you guys, ladies, another question, and we're going to wrap it up really quick because even when Sean said this, I thought back to all my parents, my autistic parents. I thought back about you know how were they, how did they receive the help that they needed, right? So I'm going to ask you ladies this question. I hope you guys can hear me okay. Can you ladies hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. How can workplace or schools better support individual with mental health issues? Because that's the biggest thing. You have people that are going to a job for 8 hours. You have kids that are going to school for 6 or 7 hours. How can workplace environment and school environment support individuals who have mental illness issues?
So what I would say is that I feel like both schools and workplaces need to implement strategies or even spaces for people that struggle with mental health. I know that in the school system, like the school social worker, you'll have one in a whole school or a guidance counselor. And so the ratio of students to worker is ridiculous. But being able to, either hire more people, definitely not just have maybe the month where they highlight or give the kids tools or, bring about discussions of bullies and other things, but all throughout the school year, having mental health topic be a part of the curriculum. And bringing in speakers, creating places, spaces, maybe having a place where the kids can go when they're feeling or having certain emotional challenges, and definitely increasing staff as it relates to school. For workplaces, I feel like supporting employees that are dealing with mental health challenges, and not just, telling them to go through your insurance and find a therapist, but,
Mm,
having a place and space within the workplace where someone can maybe access a professional or maybe even having like a meditational room. That's just a
mm,
small example, but, finding a way to include skills and tools and techniques that those that are in need are able to access.
mhm.
I love that.
Yeah,
Sharon?
I agree. It brought to mind my granddaughters. I think when COVID was going on, and when the children started going back to school, I noticed that with her school, they started implementing mindfulness activities
Mhm.
and teaching the children emotional regulation techniques and yoga, those type of things, because she at a very young age is becoming emotionally intelligent. She
Mm-hmm.
can articulate why she's feeling it, how she's feeling, and also how to calm herself down. Just little things like running your finger up your arms, or how to ground herself. If she's taking deep breaths is another way. So I think more regular programming of emotional regulation should be just a part of their curriculum, of ways where they have, a special set. It could be incorporated with their their recess, with learning
Mm-hmm.
how to do that. For the workplace, a lot of workplaces have EAP, where you can get 6 to 8 free sessions with a therapist. A lot of people don't know that they have that benefit, but it's worth checking into. I know at my corporation, I have set up a little icebreaker channel where people can kind of go and change the channel from their stressful work, where they can go and just kind of exhale funny things, because when you're doing that during the workday, that's a way to release stress. Doing different things like, okay, we're having stressful day, everybody just stand up, let's take a walk, let's do breathing together. So I think being just having more awareness
Mm-hmm.
of how to regulate ourselves when we are feeling stress. Something as
Mm-hmm.
simple as learning how to breathe, because
Mm-hmm.
we forget to breathe when we're stressed out. We hold our
Yeah,
breaths.
yeah, that part. I mean, I'm glad that you ladies mentioned that, especially knowing that some people don't understand that their workplace do have these benefits. And I think we need to do a better job, even at the workplace, telling the employees what is there for them. One of my clients, she's a dentist, and every Friday they have yoga. And in her dentist office, they have a pianist that plays, because one of the biggest things, especially going to the dentist, is anxiety, right? And you find that people they don't cater to the clients who are suffering from anxiety to sit in a chair of a doctor's office or a dentist's office. And so I love how that her approach is, the Bacoy, she called it the Bacoy model approach, is to helping people with the issue of having anxiety coming into the dental chair, and even creating the space to have yoga, meditation, and music therapy, right, to be in bodies and that. So one of the other, I know that Sean asked a question earlier, and I want to really address this because this is so important. Sean also said martial arts, having some type of physical activity. This is a question that was he asked, and I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of deep, but it's not so deep that we can't answer, because it's also a personal question. As people who knows about mental health, reading this, would this take therapist job away? I'm going to stop at that, because I want people to understand that our goal is not to take anybody's job away. Our goal is to create the space where people can come to get the help. We need more therapists.
We
We
do.
need a lot, because they burned out too. So the more the merrier, Sean, the more the merrier. And I want to commend you, Sean, because you're going to do. I don't like the word try, because when you try something, you may not get it done. You will do. So, Sean, I'm going to open that, and I'm going to say that to you directly. If this is on your mind, if you have a passion to help people with disability, go for it. Go
Yes.
for it.
Yes.
Open up that call center, because it's a need. When you feel a need, you feel purpose, and you move passion. You move passion into purpose. Feeling a need move you to passion, lead you to purpose, lead you to power, and lead you to profit. Period. That's the 4 P's of Woman Emerge Network. That's another note. But I want you to be aware, Sean, we're not trying to take anyone's job. We want to make this very clear. The awareness of mental health is needed. We need therapists. So if you're even thinking about this is a plan, you know what? I love helping people. I love to listen to people. Go to school, get your degree as a counselor, as a therapist. It's needed. If you are a person that, again, please go to school. Please don't do this as something because I like to help people. You're playing with people's emotion and their mental state of mind. So I'm asking, if you're going to see someone in this field, please be sure that they're either under someone's license, meaning they're still trying to get their license, or they are licensed. Why? You're dealing with people's mental state of mind, so you got to be very careful. So we want this to be something that is an open platform for people to understand the importance of mental wellness, mental health, mental issues. And because you are also deciding, Sean, to go ahead and start your own mental health slash disability peer support group, I say kudos. Keep it going. Start it, Sean. Get it done, because we need you and people are out there looking for you. Any other comments do you ladies want to share to help Sean on this topic, this question?
Yeah, we therapists, it's almost like doctors. We go through so much training. We have to have thousands of hours and contact. We're regulated by the state board, whatever state that is. Then we have to take law. We have to go through a lot to sit in this space. We have to have counselors ourselves
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that we maintain mental fortitude, because there's something called compassion fatigue.
Fatigue, yeah.
So what we're doing
Mm,
in this space is really bringing about mental health awareness, to break down the stereotype that I have to go this alone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anyone that I can talk to. We step into that space where
mhm,
we provide that, as we've said already throughout the show, a safe space,
mhm,
grace for
mhm,
people to heal. This isn't a space where we would actually, like, we have the nine, he says, the hotline
Nice.
988.
Uh-huh.
There are millions of people in this world, and our gifts make room for us.
Yeah.
Mhm,
There are so many people that need help. For a full-time practice, seeing 20 people a week, 15 people a week, and then we have to have waiting lists. So
mhm,
there's always room at the end. you know, we need more and more. Not only do we need more therapists, but we need more therapists that are people of color, of all backgrounds and walks of life. We need diversity,
mhm,
because so that we can relate. Some people don't want to have someone outside of their culture, so there's
Mm-hmm.
room for everyone, because we
mhm.
all need help at some point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anything on you for you, Fayon?
No, I was just gonna say I'm glad he posted the 988 number,
Hmm.
the suicide and crisis hotline, because
Right.
it is a 24-hour hotline, 24/7. If someone is in a crisis and or feeling suicidal, that is a number that they can call. And I was going to share it before we hopped off, so I'm glad
Yeah.
he shared it.
Thank you so much, Sean, for sharing that. We truly appreciate you for tuning in and for also, being a voice for your own community. And
Mhm.
that is truly honorable for you. And what you're going to do is going to be great. So thanks again. So, ladies, we're closing it in. What is your last statement? I need you ladies to really kind of own it in to how where do we go from here? I know that you ladies are licensed in your own state. I know that you ladies can't take over, you can't cross boundaries in some ways, but can we now guide them to resources like Sean shared, the 988? Can we guide them to what's next for them? And I know in your book, Sharon, this is a book that is needed in their hands. And know that in your book you also have your resource. There you go, right there.
Wait,
You
you
have
got to
a
hold it up again. It
resources.
was a little blurred. Hold it up
Hold
again.
it up again.
Oh,
He's it.
Take the blur
there you
off.
go.
Take the
Yep.
Take
Oh,
the
there we
There we
time.
go.
There
go.
you
There
go.
we go.
There you go.
The
The
Self Care
self-care
Sanctuary
sanctuary
Journal.
journal.
Awesome.
Yes.
Congrats on that, Trina.
Thank you. And you know, you mentioned earlier about tracking yourself. This is one of the things that this journal I created to do, where you can monitor and check in with yourself. Am I taking care of my physical needs, water, sleep, food? So I would definitely say check your local directories. Right, you have Psychology Today that has
Mhm.
a whole list of therapists in your area. There are some online versions like Better Health, or if you need if you don't have money or insurance, there are places like Open Path that will provide a sliding scale for people. I think their minimum is $40 and for individual and 80 for couples. So there are resources available to you in your area. You can even ask your primary care doctors. They may be able
Yep.
to point you in the direction, or if you have insurance, call your insurance company or look at the directory online, and they can see what is within your network.
Love it, love it, love it. Anything else you would like to share, Fayon, in regarding to how people can, kind of get? Because I like what Sean is saying here as well. We always people don't think about those who are disabled, right? The disabled veterans, the disabled people from mental illness and stuff like that. They're sometimes the forgotten. And I like the fact that, Sean, you mentioned that you are creating a platform, a space where people, current people, you said, who also have disability, are going through so much challenges, especially when it comes to the thoughts of suicide and stuff like that. So I'm glad that you're going to create a space for that. So, Fayon, when it comes to leading people, I know that Sharon shared some other things. Do you have any other places or any numbers that you want to touch on? I know we touched on 988. Is there any other resources that they can actually go to get the help that they need?
So Sharad actually kind of mentioned all of them. I
Okay,
think
so
outside of all of that, I'd say you can simply, because depending on what state you're in, you could just
Mhm.
type mental health and put your state, and it
Yep.
will list all the different providers. So if you can't do psychology today, which I'm in psychology today, I think, are you in psychology today,
Yep.
Trina? Yeah, right. So we're both in psychology today, even though we're in separate states. You can always just write in mental health, write in Google, type mental health, type your state, and it will just list different providers. And as you mentioned, there are different community centers. If you don't have insurance, that there are places that will provide a sliding scale fee, but definitely get the help that you need. I think that's what I'll
Mhm.
close with. That there is help out there. Get the help that you need.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I mean, again, we had a great conversation at the table. I think it's necessary for us to kind of come together and have the conversation around mental health. Especially in these times, I am a single mom, and a full-time entrepreneur, and it's real. The struggle is real, and I had to find ways to deal with my own mental challenges. But I also started with my self-care regimen. I
Mhm.
learned how to really pour back into me because I'm pulled from so many directions. So I have to pour back in me. So we have to find the time to self-care. We have to find the time to say, let me take it down a bit. Let me pour into me so I
Mhm.
don't have to feel so empty. So I thank you, ladies, for even taking the time out of your busy schedule to come on and to have the conversation, because we need people like you, Fayon. We need people like you, Sharon. Sean, that you're listening, you're watching, we need people like you to stand up to say, I'm going to start something. I'm going to be my own boss. These two ladies are they're boss in their own world. They have their own practice and they're moving and grooving. Sharon and Fayon, they're both authors. They both have their own book, and they're pushing their own practice and their own stuff that they have. But it's not only just about them, it's about you. So get the help that you need. Find the resources, plug in. If you cannot even go to the local therapist, if you have a church home, talk to your pastor. You
Mhm.
know, it's a free it's supposed to be free for you now. You know, talk to your pastor, talk to the leaders of the ministry. You know, that should be a safe space too,
Mhm.
right? So there's ways to go around things when it comes to not having the money that you need to support your mental being. So if you ladies can leave a power word or power phrase or a power sentence for someone that's in need of hope today, because we all need hope. That's something we need. What will be that one statement, that one word, that one phrase, that one sentence that you will leave with somebody who's watching this live or the replay that says, you know what, I'm tired. I can't, you know, I feel like I'm not enough. I feel like I can't do this. What is that statement, Fayon or Sharon? You can take either one.
Okay. My statement here lately, I'm championing and advocating for self-care. So my statement is self-care is not an option, it's necessary, because when we learn to love ourselves, it really doesn't matter who doesn't.
Hmm. Repeat that one more time because I don't think they heard you.
I said, I said self-care is necessary. It's not an option, it's necessary. And when we learn to love ourselves, it really doesn't matter who doesn't.
Mm. And please self-care because God care when you self-care. Please and thank you. I'm so loving that. Please and thanks. So Fayon, what would be that phrase for you?
That you matter. You
Mhm.
matter. Just that simple. That you matter. Every now and then, I'll just post a random phrase on Instagram. You matter.
Mhm.
Because sometimes people don't feel like others even see them, but that you matter.
Mhm.
Um,
Mm,
and
I
so
love
you
it.
have to take care of you because you matter.
Mm, I
Mhm.
love it.
You
And
have that.
Sean has his own little word. Come on, Sean. So we have
Right?
self-care, we have you matter, and now Sean says, do not let the situation you are in defeat you. Drop the mic, Sean.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't let it defeat
Absolutely.
you. Don't let it defeat you. Embrace all of you. And he said also, instead, force the situation. Ooh, instead,
Okay.
force the situation to submit to you. You know what,
Mhm.
Sean? You got to be on my show. Where you at? Instead,
Mhm.
force the situation to submit to you. You know what? You about to make me take you to church, Sean. I am not today. Who? I felt that, Trina. Felt that, Fan. My God. If we can
Yes.
understand, you know what? Melissa, leave that alone. Because I'm about to go in, y'all. Let
I
that
feel you on
situation,
that. I feel you on that.
let
Yes.
that situation submit to you.
I
Command.
love it.
Command your situation to submit to you. Sean, you too
Yeah.
good. You too good. I love it. Well, ladies, we are on. I am like, oh, this was so
All right,
good.
Melissa, I got one more line.
Come on.
I'm gonna add it on to Sean. All right. Thank you, Sean, for the inspiration. You were created on purpose for a purpose.
Mm,
Yes.
yes, you
Yes.
are created on purpose for a purpose. So seek
Because
God and ask God, what is my purpose? And am I serving on purpose or am I working my purpose
All
away?
right, come on now.
Because that's the problem. Listen, we're about to go into off session. This is the off
right. Because
the
my wheels
episode.
are turning. I'm
Woo!
thinking you are purpose.
You are
Period.
Come on
purpose.
now.
Come on.
You
I
You
are
love
are
that one.
purpose.
purpose. Come
Yes.
And
on.
every situation, every place you in, it is purposeful.
Come on.
You know?
Woo.
All things are
Live
working
on
together for the
purpose.
good. Yes.
I am so loving this. This was just so needed. And I am so thankful that you ladies are serving on purpose. And you all know my word. How, Sharon, every time I say it, right? Thank you for allowing me to serve you on purpose.
On
And
purpose.
today we serve you, ladies and gentlemen that's listening and watching. We served you on purpose. Don't forget it. Oh, Monica says, great show. Thank you,
Thank you,
Monica. Don't
Monica.
forget it. Don't
Thank you,
forget it.
Monica.
We have to serve each other and serve on purpose because what was your statement, Fayon? You
You
are
were
what?
created on purpose for a purpose.
You are created on purpose for a purpose.
I love
Until
that.
next time, everybody, take care, take charge, and be great. Bye for
Good
now.
night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye. Good night, everybody.
Let me just take us out. Hold on.